Well, and it was, before we talk about the games with the MAC,
Yeah.
a surprise,
Yeah.
maybe not to you, but to me, the fact that Bowling Green is now looking for a coach.
Yeah, they fired Mike-Jinks over the weekend. It is a surprise because it's a surprise on a couple levels. Number one, they came into the season, it was pretty obvious the one thing they needed to fix was their defense. They could score. They could score enough points to win the Mid-American Conference. And their defense is what, they're giving up. I think they've given up more than 35 points in every game this season.
Can I read off what they've been giving up?
Yeah.
58, 45, 38. This is not basketball game here. 63, 52, and 42.
That's what they've given up on defense.
Yes.
So they fire Mike-Jinks, who's an offensive guy, okay, and they give the interim head coaching job, okay, to the defensive coordinator, Carl Pelini.
Right.
Okay. Now, in defense of Carl Pelini, this is his first season at Bowling Green. He came over from Youngstown State, so he's dealing with what he inherited, okay, but it's mind-boggling to me if the problem's over there and it continues to be over there, why would you, one, fire the guy? And I mean, he's had his issues. He hadn't been successful, although the team continues, like I say, to put points on the board. So they can score. But their issue is defense. So one, why would you give the interim job to a defensive guy that's not doing the job? So that, but we'll segue on to the rest of the match.
Yeah, I think it's more of a stopgap thing.
Yeah.
This is what they have.
Stopgap.
This is what they have. This guy moves up.
But
and
see,
then
what
we'll
the problem
further.
is, Jinks is out looking for a job, and if you're Pelini, you got to be looking for a job too, because you're not going to get that head coaching job.
No, unless there's a really crazy turnaround.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's go to the games. Buffalo and Toledo.
Oh.
Buffalo's been the darling.
Yep.
And
been your darling.
Been my darling for most of the season.
And they've held up. They've held up. Although Tyree-Jackson's kind of been leveled off a little bit, the quarterback. He's been about 500 passing the last 2 weeks, even though they've won. But, I mean, as a talent, he is still a talent. You can't bring this man down. He was not sacked against Akron, and Akron is a good defensive team that was in on him. In fact, after the game, Coach Terry Bowden at Akron said, maybe the best thing to do is not rush him because he can elude tackles so well and still make plays down the field. So we'll see what happens with that going forward the rest of the season. But as a talent, he is still number one in the league. And Toledo has had their issues. It's a transition year for Toledo that people kind of forget. They're 3-3 overall. So by the standards of a traditional MAC team, what they're going through now is should not be surprising. But because it's quote unquote Toledo, people are surprised. They were upset last week at Eastern Michigan, but that's still a game that's going to be a defining game for Toledo and for Bowling Green, and for Buffalo on the road. And then, of course, you got the local game.
The battle of the beatings.
Yeah, the battle of the
beatings in the conference. 0-3 Kent, 0-2 Akron as far as the MAC records. Why should anyone go see this game?
Well, what you're looking at is two teams, kind of going in opposite directions. Akron, after they beat Northwestern, I think it was 39 to 35, I think it was. Whatever the record was, whatever they beat them by, they've only scored 36 points since.
Wow.
Okay, including last week they had 2 field goals. And even going back to that at Northwestern upset, they had two pure defensive touchdowns and another set up by the defense. So, their offense hasn't been generated. But, so that's something to look at. And then Kent, they got a new coach, new offensive style, new quarterback. Talent level is still way behind the rest of the Mid-American Conference. But, it's a rivalry game. It's at Kent, so we'll see what happens.